Hey nerds! Welcome to the React.js full course powered by React 19 and packed with real projects. Episode 3 is here, and this one is important. Today we'll learn how to break your big messy code into smaller reusable blocks. These are called components. We'll also talk about how to pass data between components using something called props and how to put components together like puzzle pieces. That's composition. And by the end, we'll build a real mini project, a product card grid like an online store page. So, what are components? Components are like small building blocks you use to build your website, just like bricks. A button can be a component, a card showing product info, also a component. Even your entire page is just a bunch of components put together. In React 19, components are just functions that return JSX, HTML like code. If you have missed JSX, go watch episode 2 of this series. Now, let's create a functional component here. Okay, so what we have discussed, a functional component is basically a JavaScript function that returns a JSX. Okay, so let's create it. So function, I'll name it as welcome, parenthesis, open curly braces. Okay, so now this is a JavaScript function, and if it returns JSX, then it is a component. So let's return a JSX. Return h1 tag here with welcome to React 19 course. Okay, so now this is a component, and how we can use this component? Let's come into app component here, and within a angle brackets we have to pass component name. Okay, so let's welcome, and let's add the closing tag here, and that's it. Here you have just used your welcome component within app component. Now let's see if it's working right or not. Okay, so let's go to localhost and see. It is printing welcome to React 19 course. Okay, so now let's make it repeatable. Okay, so let's copy it and paste it 2-3 times. Okay, so basically you have noticed one thing, that the function name I have kept it with capital letters. Okay, so basically functional component must start with a capital letter, like here in welcome W is capital. Okay, or they won't work properly in JSX. So remember, always your component name should be start with capital letters. Okay, so now let's see what it is printing. We have imported our welcome component 3 times here. So as you can see, it is printing this welcome to React course 19 3 times. Okay, but here suppose I want this welcome component to print different values in each render. Okay, so how we can do that? We'll be using props. So props is short of properties, basically helps you to pass information into component. Think of it like giving ingredients to a recipe. That component does the cooking. Okay, so here let's just pass a prop here. Okay, so I'll keep it as name welcome to episode 3 for now. Okay, so now we have passed prop, which is name value, okay, into our welcome component. So how we can use this in our component? We'll be using props keyword. So everything we will be passing here to the welcome component will be inside this props object. Okay, so to use this name value in a welcome component, we have to distract it from props object. Okay, so what we can do here, we'll just do this instead, props dot name. Okay, now let's see what it is printing in our localhost. So as you can see, it is now printing welcome to episode 3. Okay, so let's go to VS Code again, and here as you can see, I have passed this name prop only for this first component. That's why it is printing only once. Okay, so now let's give a different value here for these two. Welcome to episode 2, and here name welcome to episode 1. Okay, now let's save it and go back to localhost and see. All these are getting printed. Now let's distract the value directly within the function. Okay, so here there are two ways to distract this name, which we have sent it from app component to this welcome component. There are two ways to distract. Okay, first one is directly within this parenthesis. Okay, so here just do like this within curly braces. Whatever property you want to distract, just name it here and then use it directly here. Okay, so now let's see the result. The result is same. Okay, so this is one way. The another way to distract the props here is you can just create a variable, like store it basically in a variable by the same name. So from props, what I want to distract here, I want to distract name. Okay, and now let's keep the props here. So this is also work. So now let's see. The result is same. Okay, so this is another approach to distract the values from props. But I think this is much more cleaner approach than the previous one, because suppose there are multiple variables, then every time you need to write here like variable 1, 2, comma, it will just make your code messy, right? So I think this is much cleaner approach. Now let's see how we can pass numbers to our component. Okay, so for that, suppose after welcome I just want to show the minutes of episode. Okay, so let's pass props directly from here. Minutes, it is 10 minute. Same from here. Suppose it is 15 minute. And from here, suppose it is 20 minute. Okay. Now how we can distract this minute value directly? We can just add here comma and minute. Okay. And how we can show that? Just here hyphen within curly braces, just the variable name. Okay, so now let's see what it is printing. Let's go to localhost. Here you can see it is printing number which we have passed for each of this welcome component. Okay, so now let's go back to VS Code. Now we want to see, can we pass a function directly as a prop to another component? So let's see that. So for that, let's create a button component here. So same way, it should be a function with capital starting button. Okay, now props it should take, and it should return a JSX, which is here it will be a button, and on click event, and within on click I want to execute the function which is being passed to this button component as a prop. Okay, so let's just check that function. So const, for now I'll thinking to pass it by the name of same on click. So let's distract it on click from props. So we have to pass the function as name of on click, okay, to this button component. And in on click of this, I want to execute the on click which we are passing. Okay, so now click me. This is our button component. Okay, so now let's use that button component here. So let's import it at top. Now we can import it with angle brackets. Button. Okay, now we have to pass this on click prop. Okay, so let's pass that. So on click, and what we want to do on click, let's alert the user. So function alert, let's add clock, welcome to NerdSprite. Okay, now let's see if it's working or not. So let's go to the VS Code, and here you can see I have a button, and let's click on it. So yeah, it's working perfectly fine. That means we can pass the functions as a prop also. So what is the conclusion? Conclusion is you can pass anything as a props, whether it is a string, number, arrays, object, function, or even other components. Okay, so now let's learn how to combine small components together to make a bigger ones, like stacking building blocks. Okay, so here as you can see I have 4 components. Okay, basically there are 2, but I am using this welcome at 3 times. Okay, so I have these components. Now I want to pass all this component to another component so that it will be a collection of multiple components. So, okay. So now I want this button and headings to show inside a card component. Okay. So now let's create a card component here. Function card. Okay. So, and it should take props. Okay. And it should return what it should return. It should return a div with class card. Okay. And within this, there should be h2 tag, basically heading. Heading will also be coming from the props. Okay. So let's destruct it first. Const title, I'll name it. Okay, from props. Let's render title here. Okay, now let's use this card component. So here we want to wrap, means we want to send everything within this card component, so we have to wrap it. So let's wrap the card component with all these smaller components. Okay, so let's cut it here and wrap it. Now we have used the card component, so we have to pass the title also. Okay, so title, let's pass it NerdSprite. So now let's see in localhost. As you can see, it is now just showing title. Okay, why? Because here we have not put this title within a curly bracket, so it's taking as a string, but this is a variable, so we have to pass within a curly brackets. Now let's save it. Okay, now NerdSprite is showing. Okay, but the children we have within this card component is not showing. Why? Because we have to destruct these childrens also from the props. Okay, so let's destruct it. And how we can do that? By destructing with children name. Okay, and now let's render the children here, whatever we are getting. So children, and let's go to localhost. Now as you can see, we have this card component. Within that we are showing the title, and then we have this button component, and then we have 3 welcome components. So here we have used multiple smaller components to create a big component that is called composition. Mini project time. So what we are building today? Imagine a shopping website. You see a grid of product cards, is showing an image, name, price, and a button to add a card. That's what we'll be building today. A grid layout that displays multiple product cards using component, props, and composition, which we have just learned. Okay. So now remember one thing. Always create a new component into a separate file. Okay. Only for learning purpose here I have done, like I have created these 3 components within the same app.jsx file. But you have to always create a separate file for each of the components. Okay. So now let's create a component folder to keep it clean. And here I'll be creating all my components. Okay, so now I want a card component. So let's create a product card component here. So I'll create product card.jsx where I'll have my component. Okay, so now let's create a function. I name it as a product card of my component basically. Okay, here it will receive some props. Okay, now this card basically should return image, h3 tag, within it will be the name of product and price, and button to add a card. Okay, so now let's return all these things. So return, so basically we have to wrap it within a div. Okay, so let's put class name of product card. Now it should have an image source file. Now for now I'll keep it empty, but we'll be getting this source from props. Okay, alt attribute also I'll keep it empty right now, and then h3 it will have the product name, which also I'll be getting from props, and price within this p tag. Okay, into the dollar, and a button to show add to cart option. Okay, this is our product cart. Now let's use this product cart into our app.jsx file. So let's go here. Now let's remove these things we have just created. Okay, so now cart can be multiple, right? So it should be within the number of count which we have the products. Okay, so now let's create a product array basically first. So const products, which will be displaying within a cart. So products here. Now each product will have name, price and image we will be using to show in our product cart here. Okay, so now let's create name of first product. I'll name it as a React mug. Okay, and price will be suppose $12.99 something, and then image URL we have to pass. So for now I'll keep the static images. You can just copy paste the source, https colon placehold dot co slash we want 150 cross, so 150 size, where text will be React plus mug. Oh, okay, it should be within the quotes. I missed it. Okay, so now our first product is created. Now let's copy paste it 2 or 3 times. Okay, and now let's change the product titles so that there can be multiple product. And name is JS t-shirt. It will be something like, let's make it $24. And here also let's change the text of the image, JS plus t hyphen shirt. And now in the third here, let's make it front end stickers. Let's make it 4 cent, 5 cent something. And here also stickers. Okay, now our product array is ready. So these 3 products we'll want to show in our product cart. Okay, so how we can just use and show these 3? Using map method, which we have learned in previous episodes. Okay, so now come to within the div. Let's map this product array, products dot map. Okay, and then take each of the product and its index and return this product cart array. Okay, so let's import product. Wait, before importing, did we have exported? Let's see. Yeah, we have not exported. So let's export this component. Export default or component name. So after exporting default, then we can only use this component into multiple or separate components. So now come to back app.jsx and now let's import product cart. As you can see, it is showing suggestion me to import. So let's press enter. Okay. And for now, let's pass the key. It should always be unique, but I don't have any uniqueness, so I'll be using index for now. Okay, and then in props, what I want to pass? I want to pass all 3 details. Okay, means all the objects I want to pass. So how we can pass within this? Let's use the rest operator and use product. So whatever the product object we are getting, we are directly passing that object with to product cart component. Okay, now we have name, price and image, which we want to show in product cart. Okay, so now let's go into product cart and destruct these 3 values which we want to use. Okay, so name I want to use, price and image. From where? From props. Okay, now I use this name to show in h3 within curly brackets, obviously, and price will be here within p tag, and this name also I'll be using for alt tag. Okay, and this image source will be the source of this image. So like this. Okay, now let's see if it's rendering all these three components or not. Let's come here. Okay, now you can see these three components are there, means these three products are basically there, but it's not looking right. So let's add some CSS over here. So now let's go to app CSS, remove this default ones. Okay, now, okay, so we want to show it in grid. So let's wrap this class to grid. Okay, now come into app CSS and let's write some funny CSS. We want display flux. Okay, then let's give gap on each of the card of 20 pixels. Then also in each card, I want 20 pixels of padding. Justify content should be center. Flex wrap should be wrap. Okay, now let's give style to each of the product card. What class name we have given here? Product card. Okay, so we'll be using the same class name. Now let's give it border of 1 pixel, solid, this color. I want border radius of 10 pixels, padding of 15 pixels, width of 200 pixels of each of the card. Text should be in center. Let's give some box shadow here. 0 pixel, 4 pixel, 4 pixel from top, 6 pixel here. Let's give a color RGBA. 0. Green should be 0. Blue should be 0. And this should be 0.1. Okay, now this style we have given to our card. And also let's give some styling to our image of this card. So product card image. It should be 100%. Border radius should be 8 pixels. From margin, bottom I want 10 pixels. Okay, and also let's give some styling to our button within card. So button background color I want is 5B2EAF. Okay, text color should be white. Border should be none. Padding should be 10 pixels. Border radius should be 5 pixels. Cursor pointer. Okay, I think we are done with the CSS. Now let's see how it is looking in our local host. Okay, yeah. So as you can see, I have these three components which are product card component rendering. Okay, we have image, heading, and price of each of the card, and a button to add to cart. So yeah, that's it. Recap time. What we have learned today. Functional component, simple JS function that return JSX. Then we have learned about props, basically passing data like string, numbers, even functions. Then we have learned about composition, which is putting component inside another components. And at last, we have built a real world product card grid using all the concepts. Coming next, states and events. In the next episode, we'll make things interactive. We'll use your state to manage data and handle user events like click, inputs, and toggles. This is when your app goes from static to dynamic. Drop off on product idea in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your React buddies. See you in episode 4 Nerds.